Hello, and welcome to an episode of Crypto Novas, where newbies become masters. Hello, my name is Chris Brown, and I'm your host for tonight's episode, where we are going to take a look at all this exciting price action that has happened to Bitcoin has surged to almost $16,000 per coin. That's an incredible increase, and we're going to go through and see a couple of articles as they kind of dig into what the percentages are and kind of why this is happening right now. But for the year, um, the Bitcoin price has now doubled in 2020. It started around 7,100. It actually, when the COVID-19 crisis hit, it dropped down to about 5,000, and now it's almost $16,000. So obviously, this is very exciting. What you're seeing right now is basically a price chart of where Bitcoin has been. This is actually a daily chart that I've got shown up here. So you kind of see in the month of November, Bitcoin has done nothing but grow, and today it actually shot up. So what we want to do is let's take a look at the hour chart to kind of see exactly how high it actually went. And here you can kind of see right here in the chart that Bitcoin kind of wicked up to right about 15,944. I think it was a little bit higher than that, maybe 15,908. At around about what 4 o'clock today, around 4 o'clock today. It has since kind of wicked down, and it is hovering right now at around 15, 15.6, about 15.6. We can kind of take a look at the MACD here, where we've got it's really strong at this point, and the RSI is looking very strong as well. When it actually peaked up at around almost 16,000, the RSI was sitting at around 83, 84, and it's almost back down to 70 now, at this point. And my suspicion is that it probably at some point in time will probably want to touch back and hit the 50-day moving average, which is here, but I'm not sure where exactly it's going to hit. I mean, it could wind up going sideways for a little bit and touch back down at 15,000. That seems probably likely, but it could go down to maybe 14.5 or so. But that's to happen in a few weeks or so. But this is a strong action that's happening right now that everyone's excited about. So let's take a look at a couple articles. One place that I go to news is where Crypto Compare. It's got a series of news articles on that you can kind of go through, and at a later video I'm going to kind of take you through what Crypto Compare is and how to use it and how I've used it in the past. But what we'll do is we're going to scroll down through some of these articles. The first one I want to tap into is one from News BTC, which is another very good news outlet for the world of cryptocurrencies. As you can tell by the title here, Bitcoin almost tapped 16,000 as price explodes 15% in the last 24 hours. So let's kind of scroll down and see exactly why this may be the case. So Bitcoin has continued to explode higher in the face of the further drop of the US dollar. So one thing that did happen today is the US dollar dropped below 93 since it probably hit about 92.5. And so along with that, we saw price surges in silver and in gold as well as a result of that. As the article goes on, the price of the leading cryptocurrency has almost reached 16,000 as it currently trades for around 15,970 on the leading spot exchanges. This price surge is resulting in a number of interesting trends in the Bitcoin market, namely a dislocation of prices between the futures market and the spot market. Futures markets are now lagging on the spot market, or potentially even earlier. So basically the market is trying to adjust itself essentially. Let's take a look at another article on CoinGap. Bitcoin shifts the focus to 20,000 amid the ballistic rise to 16,000. So, I mean, obviously, everyone in the crypto world is looking for Bitcoin to get back to its all-time high of around 20,000, which happened in 2017. And then, up to this point, there's been a lot of criticism, will it ever again? Now within the world of cryptocurrency, there's a lot of conversation of when will it hit 20,000. Most people expected it to hit this price or come really, really close by the end of the year. With this move to almost 16,000, only 4,000 away, um, it could happen a lot sooner than the end of December. Um, and it's anybody's guess at this point in time. What's been interesting over the last few days, and let's click back to the chart real fast, is if you look at the month of November, okay, on the 1st of November, Bitcoin started at a price of 13,000, around $700 approximately, right? Over the last 5 days, it got to a price of, on the beginning of the 5th, of only 14.4. So it went from on the 1st about 13.8, let's say 13.8 to 14.4. That's where was 14.8. 14.8 hit right around here. So today, in a week's time, it went clearly $1,000, and in a day's time, it went from basically 14.9 to 15.9, another 1,000. So you've only got 4 more thousand to go. So it's not unrealistic to see Bitcoin eat up that distance of $4,000 in a matter of a few weeks. So going back to this article, let's kind of scroll down and take a look at what this one is saying. So this is a pretty good article, and I'll probably flip back and forth between this article and the TradingView chart just to kind of put things together for you a little bit. So quickly, we've already said that Bitcoin has broken out of its uptrend up to about 16,000. The RSI reveals an overbought condition that suggests the reversal is around the corner. And that's one of the things you have to be careful of. When Bitcoin does a surge like this, there's a good possibility that it's going to come back down. And so let's go back to the chart and kind of see why. Okay, so when we come back to the chart now, you can kind of see, this upward surge on the hourly was pretty strong. And typically what happens is when you have such a big uptick like this, there is going to be somewhat of a correction, which is what is happening right now. The article will go a little bit more into the RSI, and we'll talk about that after I kind of repeat it. But as you look at the chart, you can kind of see, here, let's find it up. This is one way back on the 31st where Bitcoin had, quite a bit of a surge, up. It wasn't too much, but it went from basically 13.5 up to around 13.9, and then it had a little bit of a correction, and then it came all the way back down to here, and it dropped below, the 50, moving at 50 moving average. So now, at this point on the 3rd, it started at 13.6, and it has had just a straight run, consistent run up, with a little bit of a setback and return here, and then boom, it just kind of kicked up again. So it's gonna come back down. So continuing the article, the largest cryptocurrency is up almost 15% amid the rising tensions due to the delay of the election. After taking down the resistance, so there was some resistance at 15,000. So it passed that resistant level at 15,000 and shot up to almost 16,000. And different articles are saying exactly where, but it hit just under 16,000. According to the Relative Strength Index, the bellwether cryptocurrency is held firmly by the bulls. The indicator illustrates overbought conditions, but Bitcoin is forced to break down some barriers in its path to 20,000. However, this also calls for traders to be aware that a reversal seems imminent before the recovery resumes again. So let's kind of go back to the chart and take a look at what they're talking about. So essentially, in the RSI, which is the relative strength index, when you get up above 70, that's when indicating that you're in overbought territory. So clearly, when Bitcoin was here, which was at 15,000, and you can kind of see that there was some resistance at this 15,000 level because it wicked up above 15,000 for a little bit, and then it started to decline back. So what happened is essentially it felt some resistance there. So for a few hours, it pulled back, it wicked all the way down to 14,006, and then it popped up again. And so this on the RSI, again, overbought. It had a slight correction, kind of came down to the 70 level, and then it started to climb back up again, which is what we are seeing right here in this location, all the way up to almost 16,000. So this into the block IOMAP model reveals a relatively smooth path to 18,000. Nevertheless, the most significant resistance runs from 16,300 to 16,008. So what's essentially going to happen is, we hit 16,000 at this point. There's going to be some resistance to get past the 16,800 mark. And so that could take some days to do. There could, like I said, there could be a retracement back down to, let's say, 15,000 or the high 14s, as it before it tries to hit to break through the 16.3 or the 16.8. And here's they're kind of explaining why there's this resistance. So here at around 16.8, there's 150,200 addresses that had previously purchased approximately 108,000 Bitcoin. If this hurdle is pushed into the rear view, Bitcoin is likely to rush to the 18,000 in preparation for its grand peak at 20 grand. On the downside, the lack of immediate strong support means that the reversal would be dire and could erase a lot of this week's gains. And that's kind of to be expected, to be quite frank. The most robust support lies around 13.4 to 13.9, where 1.3 million addresses previously bought 864,000 Bitcoin. So that's what are we essentially saying? I mean, right now we're sitting at 15,000. What's the number right now? 15,000. 15,005 is where we're sitting right now. So there is the potential of a retracement to around maybe 13.5. So maybe there could be a $2,000 drop before it goes back up and tries to attack this 16, let's say the 16.5 level. So in continuing on this article, it says, as shown by the IOMAP model, a reversal from the current price level could be disastrous for Bitcoin. I mean, I think that's a little over dramatic, to be quite frank. I mean, having now been in the space for about 3 years, you're going to have these ups and downs. If it goes down 1,000, 2,000, I wouldn't be the slightest bit concerned. What's interesting is the first moving average support is the 50 SMA, which is slightly under 12,000. It is followed closely by the 100 SMA, and then the 200 SMA holds at around 10.4. I honestly don't think that we're going to see it go down that far. But, it really could before it goes up. But again, Bitcoin is in a bull market. So let's take a look at, some of the reasons why there's such a strong interest and why the prices are going up. Okay, for those of you that are new to the space, I mean, this article on Square is really exciting. So earlier in the year, Square basically, the owner of Square, Jack Dorsey, had bought a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, and they had opened up their Cash App so that onboarding can happen a lot easier for those that want to get into the crypto space. So let's kind of take a look in the depths of the article here. Square Incorporated, a payments company founded by Twitter's CEO Jack Dorsey, reported a significant Bitcoin revenue increase in the third quarter of this year. The San Francisco company recorded that from selling Bitcoin in Q3, coming to a total of 1.6 billion compared to 875 million in the second quarter. This figure is an 1,100% increase from the amount reported in the same period in 2019. So bottom line is, Cash App's trying to make it easier for customers to acquire Bitcoin on their platform. And obviously people are responding to it. It says here Q3's results show it made 13 million in gross profits, up 15x over from year to year. Overall, the company's net revenue, including the Bitcoin revenue, was 3.3 billion, an increase of 140% year over year. Excluding the crypto proceeds, the total net revenue was 1.4 billion, up only 25%. So obviously their jump into the crypto space has become very profitable for them and very profitable for you, those of you who are just coming into the space. Let's just kind of read this. We deduct Bitcoin revenue because the whole role is to facilitate customers to access Bitcoin. When customers buy Bitcoin through Cash App, we only apply a small margin to the market cost of the Bitcoin, which tends to be volatile and outside of our control. Therefore, we're believing deducting Bitcoin revenue better reflects the economic benefits as well as our performance from these transactions, which that's a very fair thing to say. And scrolling down. So this is basically the statement of what Square had done. And it's, you can kind of see here, this is it right here. Square made headlines last month when it made a significant purchase of over 4,700 Bitcoins worth nearly $50 million. So obviously they saw the significance of this coin and in the marketplace and wanted to be a part of that expansion and growth as people jump on board and want to acquire the coin. So the last thing that I want to hit is this article again on News BTC. The number of active Bitcoin addresses is reaching all-time highs. So let's kind of scroll down real quick and take a look at what is happening here in this last paragraph. It says here, according to one analytics firm, the total number of unique Bitcoin addresses interacting with the network hit 1.17 million yesterday. That would be on the 4th of November. Well, here we are at 15, let's say 15.9, and we have just as many people actively trading Bitcoin as when it hit its all-time high. So there's just going to be a lot more activity and a lot more people wanting this coin, and that means that it's just going to continue to push the price up. So I will do what I can to keep you guys, educated and up to date on kind of what's happening with this as we go through the month of November. So this kind of concludes this episode of Crypto Novus. And I hope this information you found valuable. Again, my name is Chris Brown. I'm your host, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys again shortly. Remember, Crypto Novus is where newbies become masters.